back to the channel. Now, a few weeks ago, I made a video where I talked about sci-fi books and how I realized that 4 of my kind of like top 15 books or something like that were all sci-fi, and why haven't I read more sci-fi basically. So I said I would make more videos on this subject and I would read more sci-fi. So I absolutely plan to do that. I plan to read next year, I think it was about 6 sci-fi books, and I also add a few more sci-fi books to my TBR this year. But I wanted to talk about 25 authors, sci-fi authors that I have not read. So I have read several big sci-fi authors already, so you won't see the likes of Philip K. Dick on this list, or H.G. Wells, like Mary Shelley or George Orwell. And you won't find those authors on this list because I've already read them. This will just be 25 sci-fi authors I haven't read at all. And I am planning to kind of put them on the bucket list as far as these authors go. I'm going to hold up one book for each author, and I'm going to start at the bottom of the list at 25. I work my way up to number 1, so you will gradually see more and more kind of like high profile classic authors towards the end of this list. The first one I'm going to hold up is Greg Bear. This is Blood Music. I bought this quite recently. It is one that has been recommended on YouTube to me before. Yeah, I'm really interested to kind of check out Greg Bear. This is one of his, there are kind of 2 novels that mostly stand out for him, so I picked this one up because it came recommended. Next up is Dmitry Glukhovsky, and I have Metro 2033 here, so I'd like to get to him. And I'd like to get to Jack Vance. I might go to one of his fantasy novels before I come to his sci-fi novels, but Alastor, I have the trilogy here, so I will probably get to one of those novels in there. One that is quite well known to sci-fi classic readers is Frederick Pohl, and I would like to read Gateway as one that I already own, as is Joe Haldeman, and I have a copy of The Forever War here, one of the Black Spine sci-fi classics. I would really like to get to Harry Harrison. Now, I have a few of his books, and I'm not quite sure which one to start with, so I'm going to hold up Death World. I have Death World number 1 here. I will definitely get to, sooner rather than later, A.E. Van Vogt, and in this collection I would like to read Black Destroyer. Now, this is a book I've already read. Jules Verne is someone that I've read before, but because it's been so long, I'm going to include him in the list anyway. This is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and this is of his books the one that I had read when I was younger, but I would like to get to it again, just because it's been way too long for me to have really an opinion anymore. Next up is Robert A. Heinlein, and I have here The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. There are quite a few Heinlein books that I'd like to get to, so it was difficult for me to choose one, but I'm going to go with this one here. I love the just the title in general. Same with the next author, Edgar Rice Burroughs. I've got A Princess of Mars here, which is the first in that series, and this classic cover. Why couldn't I not want to read it? Harlan Ellison is someone I'd really like to get to, and from this compilation here I would like to get to I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. John Wyndham is one that I think I have like 6 or 7 of his books, and at least 3 of them are really high up on my TBRs, but I would like to get to The Chrysalids first, I think, just because I own 2 copies of it and I can't get rid of either of them because I like the covers too much. Jack Finney, The Body Snatchers, another one that is quite high up on my TBR. I believe, I can't remember if this might have just missed my 50 books of Read Before I'm 50, but it was quite high up on that list as well. As was this book, A Canticle for Leibowitz, another book that I need to read. Walter M. Miller Jr., I believe, is the one that wrote that. Now, I don't have the next book that I would like to read by this author, but I'm going to hold up The Fall of Hyperion by Dan Simmons because I would like to read Hyperion by Dan Simmons, and I don't own the book, so that is a kind of placeholder there. Next up would be Kurt Vonnegut. So I've got Slaughterhouse 5 here. After Vonnegut, I would like to get to Ursula K. Le Guin. We're getting to the real big hitters now. A lot of these will be going onto my TBRs over the next couple of years because, you know, I really want to get to Le Guin, and I want to read her fantasy and her sci-fi, so she will probably be on my TBR twice. Aldous Huxley next, A Brave New World. Yeah, again, these are all massive sci-fi classics. From Arthur C. Clarke, I would probably like to get to Childhood's End first, though Rendezvous with Rama and 2001 were quite high up on my list too. Right, from Ray Bradbury, There are 3 books I need to get to quite quickly. He is an author that I know I've missed. I'm holding up a copy of Dandelion Wine here, but what I'm meant to be holding up is a copy of Fahrenheit 451. I don't know where I've put my copy, so I'm holding this up. This is also really high up on my TBR book, this book as well, but it's just not sci-fi. Next up would be Alfred Bester, and I have The Demolished Man by Bester here. Then Gene Wolfe, and I have Shadow of the Torturer. Now we get to the top 3. William Gibson, Neuromancer. So this, as you've probably seen in some of my videos, is really high up on my list. That should be a next year read for me. And a couple of this year reads for me. Anthony Burgess, A Clockwork Orange. I should get to that later this year, hopefully before November. Finally, it's the Strigazzi Brothers, a book that I'm allowing to cut into my TBR. It's cutting the line. It's going into my summer reading. I wasn't planning to read this until next year or the year after, but I've had to push it up. I did realise now that it is the novel that inspired the movie Stalker, a movie that I love. I had such a good time with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which has also inspired a movie that I love. So I'm really going to push this up my TBR and try to replicate that, kind of capture that lightning in the bottle a second time if I can. Yeah, really excited to get to these 25 sci-fi authors. Now, you won't necessarily get to them in this order, you know, this being number 1 and 2 and 3, Anthony Burgess being number 2, because some of these authors I will want to read multiple books from. People like H.G. Wells and Philip K. Dick are very high up on my TBR list, so I will likely get to The War of Worlds and The Time Machine, Scanner Darkly, Man in the High Castle, before I will get to a lot of these the lower reaches of this list, you know, the ones in the 20s especially. But yeah, this is giving you an idea of just how poorly read in sci-fi I am, basically. I've probably only read 20 odd books, sci-fi books, and I'm missing huge amounts of classic sci-fi of my kind of personal canon, if you will. Now, let me know, you know, are you well read in sci-fi? Maybe there's another genre you're not well read in. Let me know what authors, scandalously, you haven't read. Put them down in the description below, because then it make me feel less of an idiot for making this video. I will make one more sci-fi TBR based video where I'll basically lay out roughly what order I'll be reading books in, rather than by author, by title, and include a lot of those authors that I've already read. You know, put in George Orwell and back in there, and Philip K. Dick, and you know, H.G. Wells, and all those authors that I've already read. And then I can kind of make an informed decision exactly which books in which order I would like to read. Hopefully I would have picked up a couple of the books that I've don't have yet, and a couple that were missing for this video. And I'll catch you in the next one.